The future is woven in our minds, forming tapestries of positivity. Our today's sorrows mold our tomorrow promises of shattered glass boxes of oppression. Iyabuya, i-Afrika namhlanje. The perfection of foreign accents will have no reason, and fighting for human rights will no longer be called treason. I dream of a place where I'm free to be me, past genders and politically corrected sexuality, past races and chessboard game immoralities, and furthest from the places that have made me question my identity. The liberty to embrace my own gods. Give thanks to my everyday highs. Under African skies, I'm seeing African smile. African do this, even can do that. Under African skies, where every can. I'm from African skies, where every can. In my everyday highs, I see Africans smile. I see them celebrating change.
Hello and welcome to the Ruachile Rising podcast. My name is Vuelwetu Ruachile, and I'm a writer based in Joburg. I hope that you are having a wonderful start to your year, and I hope that you are finding your feet and you are ready to hit the ground running, because 2023 is going to be an awesome year. Now let's get right into this topic. I'm so excited to present it because I really enjoyed writing about this. I discovered a lot about it, and it also helped me to better understand Ntsiki Mazwai as a person. So yeah, let's get into it. Okay. Part 1. Ugugwara teasing. Is it bullying or character building? My kids have recently discovered the fine art of Ugugwara. What is that? Basically, it's a game where you tease each other until somebody cries or gives in. I'm sure some of you are familiar with this. If your opponent cries, this indicates a bigger triumph for you. This extreme sport is something I kind of dabbled in with my brothers, but it was never my favorite game. I remember sitting on our granny's red stoop, and we would exchange the most useless but hurtful insults. But I could never take it too far. You know, they were always the types of kids who were pros at this art of Ugugwara, but they would also be bullies. These kids would conjure up the most creative insults anyone can ever think of. You can almost think of it as a rap battle without the beats. And when this is the order of the day on the playground, you can trust that the environment becomes very, very passive-aggressive. I didn't like this game, as I said, and some of those creative insults still haunt me. When I was an adult and I joined Twitter, I felt a similar feeling to that feeling that I would feel when kids would gather around and one kid would be delivering these insults, and you know, other kids would be laughing and sort of like cheering on. It's interesting. I could feel my stomach turn on Twitter as I read some things, even though they were not directed at me. And on some days, a very weird thing would happen where I would also participate. And even as a writer, I have borrowed some styles from Ugugwara to make a point, right? This game is rooted in jest, but it can easily facilitate bullying. I deleted my Twitter account because A, it was melting my brain, and B, people are so mean on that app. And it's not just me saying it just to say it, it's actually true. At least Facebook, Instagram still have that sense of compassion, and you also hear from a smaller circle depending on your settings. Our sudden ability as humans to peer into the lives of celebrities gives us an opportunity to judge a person and the choices they make based on a very small part of their life that they show us. And if we don't like their choices, we are sure to let them know and trust as we type. we will never mince our words about how we feel. Part 2. The chronic abuse of public figures. This brings me to an essay that I've contemplated writing for a couple of years now. And when I finally sat down to write it, I was very shocked at what I found. Now, let me tell you a little bit about who Ntsiki Mazwai is. She's a South African public figure. She wears many hats. She's a poet. She is an artist. She does beadwork. She's also a presenter. She has a history of being a presenter, and she's also a respected intellectual. So naturally, a Twitter account is the order of the day for a public figure, and it's a public platform which she's been on for well over a decade. The amount of vitriol hurled at Ntsiki is beyond comprehension. I mean, I would have deleted my Twitter account a long time ago because people can be mean, and it's almost like they feed off each other. When one throws an insult, another one seems encouraged to throw, another insult. And look, I can't really call myself a fan of Ntsiki, and I have side-eyed some of her opinions. But I had to ask myself a real question here. And also ask myself that why do we always expect celebrities to conform to our politics and our norms? Ntsiki holds many contrasting topics related to Black consciousness, African spirituality, and she has very, very spicy hot takes on trans people. And for a time, I lost my shit over her views. But here's the thing that I had to sit down and realize: that Ntsiki is not my mouthpiece, and forcing her to agree with me on a matter isn't fair. Let her have her own opinion. A lot of the hate directed at Ntsiki, in my opinion at least, is rooted in a deep internalized hatred Black people have for themselves in places like South Africa. People use a lot of featurist rhetoric to bully her because she doesn't look like a woman that fits the colonial male gaze. This can be Black or white. They call her dirty because she's natural. They call her names because she's actually smart and articulates her thoughts quite well, even in tweets. The one thing about Ntsiki Mazwai is that she is resilient against her bullies. In 2015, she pointed out in a Vuzo interview that she has been bullied on Twitter for well over 5 years. Add 8 or 9 years to that, and you have about 13 years of a lot of hate that's been thrown towards a single woman. Well, not single as in single, but one woman. Part 3. A cringe roast. Fast forward to 2018, Ntsiki participated in a comedy roast. I remember catching a glimpse of this roast when it aired, and I was at a friend's house. Everyone around me laughed, and some people were even inferring the joke to me because I am natural, and I'm a writer, and I'm kind of artsy, and I'm kind of creative. And I have a lot of hot takes that I try not to tweet. Overall, I didn't find the roast funny at all. The jokes were so dry. And again, they reeked of an anti-Blackness. So much so that even a white male, felt emboldened to talk about Impepo. Again, jabbing at an ancestral womb of accusing women who don't conform to societal standards of being a witch. This particular man, I don't care who it is, basically said that when he informed his domestic worker, who had a weird name like Mavis or, well, not a weird name, but just the kind of name that white people would throw at a black woman because they don't know how to pronounce her name. That's basically where a lot of black people got their English names from, in case you didn't know. So, names like Mavis and, Josephine or whatever, really, those are not names that belong to us as black people, and that's that on that. So, but look, if your mom gave you an English name only, I think you should go and collect your African name. I'm joking. So this white man, he kind of just had the audacity to basically say that he told his domestic worker that he's coming to roast Ntsiki Mazwai, and the domestic worker told him that he better have a lot of mbepo, I guess, to clear. I don't know. I don't know what he's gonna do with the mbepo against the witch, but all right. And again, this kind of jabs at an ancestral wound. Why did I say womb? At an ancestral wound, because a lot of women back in the day, across the world, were usually accused of being witches because they didn't conform to societal standards, and they were accused of being witches. So, I think, jokes like that really, they are really, really tasteless. And I really thought I was being paranoid about being uncomfortable about this roast. However, Ntsiki finally came out this year and actually talked about how she felt, during that roast, and really, really, she felt hurt. She felt hurt by the jokes that people were making, and the fact that they were that the panel had quite respected comedians, actors, and even Fikile Mbalula, a politician, was there to roast her, And having to rewatch that clip for this video actually literally makes me cringe. I still don't understand why it's up. And I think her quote on Chisa Live sums it up quite perfectly. People who hate themselves will always find a way to project their self-hatred onto others. Roasts are held in good spirits. That was a travesty forged to convey toxic and hateful personal feelings. Now again, my thing goes back to Ntsiki being a dark-skinned woman. A lot of people harbor a special hate towards dark-skinned black women and express their biases in a very nuanced way. Dude, you'd miss it if you blinked. But people like Skumba, who delivered the most vile jokes about Ntsiki, revealed that hate in a way that was very obvious to me. I'm shocked that some of these jokes were not cut out, because some of them were deeply inappropriate, especially some of the jokes that Skumba himself delivered. On that very same panel, actors and so-called comedian, Nomza Mombata, a woman who enjoys the privilege of more acceptable features, light skin, big fluffy hair, does not face a fraction of the vitriol Mazwai is met with on social media or any place, and not even on that stage. I'm not trying to pit Nomzamo against Ntsiki. I'm not comparing the two people, but I'm also just kind of like making a point here that people feel more comfortable to, I guess, quote unquote, challenge Ntsiki, or to, call her all sorts of names, and I think a lot of women, like even like, Pearl Tusi, like I know from time to time, people do kind of bully her, but it's never to this extent, It's never to the extent, it never goes to the places in which people seem so comfortable to go to when it comes to Ntsiki Mazwai. And I have no idea why that is. Part 4. Open letters addressing South Africa's wounds. As a child of activists and writers, Ntsiki is obviously somebody who is very vocal about her opinions, and she also holds a lot of political opinions as mentioned. So she's really gotten under the skins of politicians concerning the state of things in South Africa, especially for women and creatives. She is known for penning open letters, and I used to be one of the people who were annoyed by this. But really, seriously, how many people do you know who have such large public platforms actually use their influence and their audience to question those who feel that they are above the law? And in our case in South Africa, politicians seem to be the biggest criminals, especially, among the elites. She has had a lot to say. In 2015, she challenged the ANC to put stronger women in leadership. Now, at the time, Colleen Maine was the newly elected ANC Youth League president, and his response to an open letter was, if her dirty panties are loose, she must not take that it is true for women in the ANC. Perhaps this greasy panty called Ntsiki Mazwai needs to be reminded that historically the ANC has always been at the forefront of the struggle to liberate women. I feel like the only part that he needed to say was just the last part. The ANC has always been at the forefront of, whatever. But I don't understand why he he had to talk about Chinese, it's really kind of weird, people like people like Fikile Mbalula, who is also a leading politician. I believe he's currently the Minister of Transportation at the moment. But when he was the Minister of Arts and Culture, he was on a mission to bring Beyonce to the country. To which, Ntsiki wrote a personal letter. An open letter. Wrote him an open letter. Her points were quite, succinct. Of course, like some things could have been said better, but she was just basically saying, why are you groveling at Beyonce's feet when you could be uplifting local artists? That was the essence of what she was saying. However, Fikile Mbalula's response, went on to talk about her naked body, calling her, saying that her dress sense is an invitation for prostitution. I don't even want to read. And, talking about her inability to pay rent, because she was saying that, with that fee that you give Beyonce, you don't know, like, so many artists could, pay their rent from that money, and talking about how she lacks the skills or the energy to full self-development, and again, like, once again there's also just really something perverse, with these men, and how they strangely, call her names, call her ugly, call her a witch, call her that, but then go on to speak about her in a sexual way. And it kind of like feels like, like, look, this is something that I have experienced, where a man goes from completely hating you, but kind of also still wanting to have sex with you. And it's like, make up your mind, Do you hate me or do you adore me, And also, like, saying that somebody, the way that someone dresses is an invitation. Like, I like, yes. Okay. Now, you might think that like, because I think there's something there's something very dangerous about an attitude like that, where you can simultaneously hate somebody and want to have sex with them. But please remember that South Africa is a country that is rooted in rape culture. So please do not think I'm reaching here. And I think a recent incident is actually evidence of the fact that, this behavior that men have towards Ntsiki really needs to be examined, it needs to be called out, it needs to be stopped. She was recently stalked by somebody at a nightclub, and this person was just acting in a very, very strange way towards her and proceeded to harass her on social media. And the more she spoke about it, the more she felt like people are laughing at her. Not even the police would take her seriously. And so I really think I want to leave it there for today. There is going to be a part 2. I didn't expect the recording to be so long. And I think that I think editing it is going to be quite the challenge, but I'm looking forward to it. And in part 2, I'll be diving into some of her online controversies with figures like DJ Fresh, her recent drama with the Unpopular Opinion with Unpopular Opinion, with the Unpopular Opinion podcast. Yeah. But I also want to dive into some of the positive things that she's done, and some of the positive impact that she's had on social media. I also want to talk more about cyberbullying and its effect on Black women in particular. I do find that a lot of women are silencing themselves online because you're basically like, just including myself, like I don't post much. I don't, because I'm literally not afraid, but just kind of apprehensive. Yeah. I also might reach out to her for an interview, but I'm not promising anything. There's a lot of questions, there's just a lot out there in terms of like content when it comes to Ntsiki Mazwai. And so, piecing together like an accurate timeline of events is quite challenging. So, but I hope that, like this, scattered train of thought, gives you an idea of the impact that I believe something like this has on Black women on the internet. And really what I am trying to bring across here is that it seems like, like online bullying is really something that we really don't talk about enough. And even when it's happening, we fail women because we don't talk about it. And even if a woman is a public figure, I don't know, it's almost like we feel like, oh well, she'll be okay, and I know, like, I've heard a lot of influencers say that they can get like 1,000 positive comments, but one shitty comment can just throw you off, can just ruin your whole day. So now imagine when that is like consistent in your life, and check, hey, like, I think, like, I respect homegirl because she really, she keeps her chin up through it all, and I really hope that she is okay through it all. Okay, that is it from me. I'm so tired of talking. I need a glass of water. Okay, peace out. Bye. Hey, subscribe, please,